Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are discussing about what is the difference between GDP and per capita income. Do you know a country can have a huge economy but still have poor citizens? For example, a country may produce trillions of dollars worth of goods and services, yet many people still struggle financially. How is that possible? The answer lies in two important economic indicators, that is GDP and per capita income. In this video, we will understand what is GDP, what is per capita income, the key difference between them, and why both are important to understand a country's economy. Let's break it down in the simplest way possible. Countries measure their economy performance using different indicators. The two indicators are GDP and per capita income. These indicators help economists, governments, and analysts understand two different things. That is, GDP tells us the size of the economy, and per capita income tells us how wealthy the average citizen is. So, while both are related, they measure completely different aspects of economy development. To understand the difference clearly, let's start with the GDP. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. It is the total market value of goods and services produced within a country during a specific period, usually 1 year. In simple words, GDP measures how much a country produces. This includes everything such as cars manufactured, food produced, mobile phones made, software services, banking services, tourism activities. All these economic activities together from GDP of a country. The higher the GDP, the larger the economy. This is why countries like United States, China and India often talk about GDP growth, because GDP reflects economic strength and production capacity. Let's understand GDP with a simple example. Imagine a small country produces cars worth 200 crore, rupees 200 crore, food worth rupees 300 crore, technology services worth 500 crore. If we add all this together, we will get 1000 crore. So the GDP of that country is 1000 crore. This means in that year the country produced goods and services worth 1000 crore. But here is the important question. Does this mean every citizen of the country is rich? Not necessarily. And this is where per capita income becomes important. Per capita income means income per person. It tells us the average income of people living in the country. In simple words, it helps us understand the standard of living of citizens. The formula for per capita income is very simple. Per capita income equals to GDP divided by total population. This means we take the country's total economic output and divide it by the number of people living in that country. This gives us the average income per person. Economists uses this indicator to compare the living standards across the countries. Now, let's clearly understand the difference. GDP measures total economic production. Per capita income measures average income of individuals. GDP focuses on economic size. Per capita income focuses on living standards. GDP tells us how big the economy is. Per capita income tells us how wealthy the average citizen is. So, both indicators measure different dimensions of economic development. Here is a real world insight. Some countries may have very high GDP, but because their population is extremely large, their per capita income remains low. On the other hand, smaller countries with fewer people may have lower GDP, but their per capita income can be much higher. This is why economists always analyze both indicators together to understand the real economic condition of a country. These indicators are important because governments use GDP to plan economic policies, economists use per capita income to compare living standards, investors use both to evaluate economic growth and opportunities. Together they give a complete picture of a country's economy. So, to summarize, GDP shows the size of the economy, per capita income shows the average wealth of citizens. Both are the essential indicators to understand the economic development and living standards. If you found this video very helpful, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for a simple finance and economic explanation. And thanks for watching.